Don't need that.
Right now, I have to stop saying
Welcome.
True that.
We got Bud Light. We got notes. I don't even know if we're going to use them or not, but we're going to hold them up like they're important. There's actually writing on this. This is not a prop. I promise
I wouldn't
you.
call that writing.
Well, I mean,
That's pretty bad.
chicken scratch,
Yeah,
maybe,
it's
right?
pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, as long as they say your handwriting looks like a doctor's and not a serial killer, you're fine, right?
Let's go with that.
This is the DLLS Stars Pregame Show. Luds, I'm Owen. John's here. Sam's here. Well, he's in Denver. Let's talk about it. Let's talk Stars Game 4 against the Avalanche. Coming up.
Get ready, boys.
This is the DLLS Stars Pregame Show. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy, enjoy responsibly. And by Happiest Hour. Check out Happiest Hour for the best spot to watch the NHL playoffs. Let's remind you that this is the last moment, I think it's today, it could be this weekend, who's to know for sure, to capitalize on our introductory offer for DLS diehards, $36. For the introductory first year of being a diehard, you get a free DLS t-shirt when you sign up. This is because of the NFL draft, which is wrapped up this weekend, but the offer still stands tonight. So go to alldls.com, scan that QR code at the bottom of the screen, and you can be a diehard with all the perks that it has to offer for a significantly discounted price off our regular annual fee. And do it now because you don't know when it will stop being available. Alongside Craig Ludwig, I'm Owen Newkirk. John Andersen is our producer tonight. Hit that like button at the bottom of your video, not the little heart. We appreciate that in the chat on YouTube. Hit that like button, like and subscribe. That all helps support DLS and get our show to as many eyeballs as possible. Speaking of eyeballs, we welcome in another set of them in Denver. Look, on cue, he's ready. It's Sam Nestler, our very own Rocky Mountain reporter tonight. Squirrel. Sam, between listening to fans cheer for an NBA result in another state and having a day off in the Rocky Mountains, how you doing?
I'm good. Got a lot of hikes in the last couple of days. Finally got to get out there in the mountains a little bit, which was fun. Got to see a practice here yesterday. Currently sitting next to Leah, who is the hero of the Stars beat with her performance today at Sliceworks, testing out the pizza that Pete DeBoer told us about the other day. So I am inferior to her today, but all good here in Denver.
Sam, let's talk about the lineup because the big news of the day and the news that I heard yesterday listening to The Ticket when Pete DeBoer joined the hardline was that Oscar Beck had an oblique injury and had to, as Pete called it, freeze it up before he could return to the game. I don't actually know exactly what he means. I have a couple ideas, but I don't know specifically what he means. I'm sure it's probably some sort of an injection to numb it. But is Oscar Beck going to play tonight?
Yeah, it's a game time decision. Beck did not practice yesterday with the team. Pete said it was just precautionary because of what you just laid out there. Suffered it. I think it was in the second period. He froze it up and then came back and finished the game. But they said it was pretty painful. This morning, he came out and skated with the team in morning skate. He was testing it out. You can kind of see him. He was doing a lot of twisting, a lot of kind of shooting the puck against the boards, turns and twists on his skates to try to really test it out. In terms of line rushes, he did not go. Maverick Work went on that fourth line, centering Steele and Blackwell. So that will be the change if Beck's not able to go. But Pete did say it's a game time decision. So I have a feeling we might see both of those guys out there for warm up tonight, and we'll see what happens there. But I actually asked Pete about the fourth line because it feels like every game doesn't matter who goes in on that fourth line. It's just they perform so well. And, you know, we talked about Blackwell being the odd man out, and then he comes in, plays a really good game, scores an overtime winner, and then has another great game again in game 3 here the other night. So that fourth line is just an embarrassment of riches. As funny as that sounds, with a fourth line, not every team has that, where they can just roll that line out whenever they want, expect them to not only keep the Avs away, but also play in their end and maybe pin, McKinnon or anyone they want to match up with them in their own end. And that's just been an absolute gem for the Stars all season long, and that's continued.
What about Miro Heiskanen? You sent me a note that you have an update on Miro. Obviously, he's not playing tonight, right?
Yeah, he is out tonight. The only update that kind of from the last couple of days is that Pete did tell us. I asked directly. I said, "Hey, are these contact practices?" Because yesterday, he was as full participant as I could see. He was in every drill, 5-on-5 rush drills. Not battling in the corners, but when he's in there, when the puck goes in the corner, he goes after it with the other players, and there was no keeping him away from guys. But Pete told me, he said there's no planned contact, is the way that he said it, which means that important step we all know of, that I get asked on Twitter every day of if he's taking contact, that hasn't happened yet. And we don't know what that looks like. We watched Tyler very closely when Seguin was coming back, and I never saw the contact, as they called it, but all of a sudden he was ready to go and he was playing. So I think for Miro, it's not going to be something that's obvious. It's just going to be annoying the crap out of Pete DeBoer every day, seeing Miro get more and more into it, and we might not know until he gets into some line rushes at a morning skate, or maybe even gets activated and comes out for a warm-up down the line here. But I will say that, in my opinion, I think we talked about this a little bit on our mini pod the other day, if the Stars win tonight and go up 3-1, I do believe that kind of goes into their decision with Miro Heiskanen. I think if he's 100% ready, they're going to play him without a doubt. But if he's kind of, on the edge and could play but isn't 100%, they're up 3-1 in a series. I don't feel that they're going to try to rush him back into things in Game 5, even if he could have played. All of a sudden they are 2-2, or they somehow go down 3-2. Maybe that changes things. So unfortunately for all the fans, the answer is we don't know, and we're just going to have to keep asking Pete every single day.
Yeah, check out our mini pod, because we did about 12 minutes the other day, the three of us, on Miro and how his impact could affect if he does come back in the series. And Luds, you were pretty adamant that the best case scenario for everybody is he doesn't play this round. Stars get by Colorado without him. But as Sam just said, if Dallas is facing an elimination game, does Miro play that next one, that elimination game?
Well, I would say it's a better chance of it, because they're up by a couple,
right,
by a game. So that extends it a little bit. See, even to play in the next game, there isn't the same schedule as you just had between games 3 and 4. Correct. You don't have 2 days off again. So you're going to because the team's not going to practice. So where's your contact that everybody's talking about?
Yep.
There's going to be no contact tomorrow. There's going to be no contact in the morning skate. So that's why I'm like, I would tap the brakes on all this kind of stuff. But again, like Sam, you mentioned it, you didn't really see Tyler getting hit, but you still have to be, for your own mind, and to be ready, you have to play in some sort of drills where you're going to get bumped to and all that kind of stuff.
So
right now it's hands off.
There are 2 days off between Monday's Game 5 and 8. Right now, still, if necessary, Game 6 back in Colorado on May 1st. Is that more likely?
That's what I'm talking about. There's your day. You get a day of practice in there. The guys, again, they're going to get the day off after, again, you'll get that day off, but then they're going to be able to practice, and that might be it. And again, yes, and it really does. The good news is Dallas wins this game tonight. You can just extend that out and bring Miro back when he's 100%. At the end of the day, it's all what's in Miro's head. He's got to be comfortable with exactly so that he can play. Because, again, we've talked about this. Miro's not going to go out there and play 12 minutes in the game. It ain't going to happen. So he's got to be able to be the horse again, as much as he will allow it and allow himself to do that. He's got to be able to go out there and play 23, 22, whatever that may, depending on how the game goes.
Sam, Jared Bednar, the Avalanche head coach, had some interesting comments to talk about how slim the margins are. These are two really good teams playing a very intense, tightly contested playoff series. So it's not surprising, but he had some comments about facing the Dallas Stars and why it's so challenging from an Avalanche perspective.
Yeah, both coaches have actually said it, and I think that fans got ahead of themselves. And I'm not going to say just fans. I think we did too a little bit. As soon as Robertson and Miro went out, we started thinking trouble for Dallas. And then as soon as Dallas went up 2-1, we're starting to think, man, they go up 3-1, they might win this thing on Game 5. I think that the teams both believe this series is destined for 7 games. They've said that over and over again. They said it's the reason why it's a best of 4 or best 2-4, first to 4, whatever, because that is the way the series goes. And for Bednar, he said this morning that the interesting point that I took away from it was He said if you give the Dallas Stars a handful of chances, the Dallas Stars are going to score a handful of goals. And that's such an interesting way of looking at it because, for us, when watching the Stars every day, we pick and we look at all the little things that are wrong. And then you take a step back and look from an opponent's standpoint, and you realize just how good this team is. I mean, the fact that they are winning a series 2-1 against a Stanley Cup contender, one of the top Stanley Cup contenders, without two of their best players and their very best player is pretty wild and a big testament to the depth they have on their team. So Jared Bednar said that, you have to have everyone going. And the Avalanche reporters have asked a lot about certain guys that maybe haven't gone as consistently. Brock Nelson, who has, one good game and then is a little bit quiet. And Bednar just said we can't afford to have guys coming in and out in terms of performance and in terms of being into the games. Against a team like the Dallas Stars, you have to have every single person going or you're going to get beat. And that's what's happened the last two games. It's been that slim of a margin of error that the Stars have had to win the games in overtime. But if you look at the Avalanche and what they want to do, they haven't gotten a lot of the things they want to do going in this series. And I'll tell you right now, from speaking to Jim Nill and Mark Janko and players in the room and everyone that I've talked to over the last 2 days expects this to be the tightest game of the whole series. And I laughed when I heard that because if this is the tightest game, what were those other ones the last two that went to overtime and were razor thin? So I'm expecting this to be a really good game. And I think for Colorado, they're desperate. As much as this isn't the end of the series, you go down 3-1 and go back to Dallas. You may not lose the series in that game 5, but it's a really, really tough task to win 3 straight games against a team as good as Dallas, just like it would be if the Stars were down trying to win 3 straight against Colorado.
All right, Sam, hunker in, stay warm, make sure your tummy's full because you don't know how long this one is. After 2 overtime games, it could easily be a third in a row. We'll talk to you in the postgame show.
All right, enjoy the game, boys.
All right, there's Sam Nestler live from Ball Arena, where, Luds, the Dallas Stars have won 5 straight playoff games. You have to go back to 2006, which was a series Dallas was the higher seed, and they lost in 5 in the first round. They went down 3-0, won game 4. I think it was still McNichols Arena, or maybe it was Pepsi Arena or Pepsi Center or whatever that was back then. But then you can't count 2020, even though the Stars won a couple road games in the bubble because it was just last change. It wasn't in Denver with the fans. So they won a game in 2006. They won 3 straight in Denver last year in the second round. First game of this road trip, they kind of done very well on the road in a hostile building with altitude against these top-name Stars.
Well, I think Dallas in general has done well on the road since Pete DeBoer's been
Very
here.
true.
Very true. They've had a really good road team. They've had a good road game. They've had the ability to outscore teams in their own buildings. That's really what it comes down to. And obviously goaltending plays into that. So, yeah, and I agree with everything you guys were talking about. To me, this is probably going to be or should be the best game that the Avs are going to play because as you talk about, like the last thing they want to do is go down to that one game where somebody has number 3 and that's the tough one. So, and you know what? Cale Makar has been, okay. That's it. Okay. And when it comes to McKinnon, he's been good. I mean, he's getting 8-9 shots a game, but he hasn't been dominant either. And that's the credit to the guys that are playing against him. Val Nichushkin, besides 1 goal, hasn't been there. So I would expect that those 3 guys are looking at this has to be the best game of the season right now for them.
So before we get to our ad breaks, and then we got a lot more to get to, my question to you is the schedule. We just talked about it with Miro. They had a day off after game 3, which was Monday night, so day off Tuesday. Or sorry, it was not Monday night. It was Wednesday night. They had a day off Thursday. They had a practice yesterday, which was Friday. Today's game day. And then now they game 4 tonight. What are the energy level expectations for both teams because of this schedule?
Well, the tanks are closer to full, but at this time of the year, I don't know if they're ever really full, but I think everybody's probably the bumps and bruises, and they don't hurt quite as much after a couple days off, and they'll have some rehab that they had an opportunity to do. The biggest thing is the rest, and that's going to be they're all kind of on a level playing field when that comes because they're resting and so that's what I mean. The only advantage, really, these teams have been so close. To me, it's been the fourth lines that have decided this series so far, and maybe that's because the other 3 cancel each other out. But, I just think that the big thing comes into home ice tonight. That's where it is. They're building their fans. Fans are important. We know that. So you have to expect – I would have expected Colorado to come out better than what they did in Game 3. I would think that they want to have a better start. And it sounds like, and I know we're going to talk about Landeskog a little later, so I'll just save that till later.
Oh, good. We'll do that right after this as we get you ready for Game 4. More of the pregame show on DLS.
What's up, Stars fans? You know. Enjoying the game should be easy, so don't overthink it. What to wear? Just put on your lucky jersey. Not sure what to serve your friends? That's even easier. Pick up some pizza and grab some Bud Light to fill up the fridge. See, it's all that easy. Just like Bud Light, which is always brewed with 4 simple ingredients for a clean, crisp taste. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy, but remember, do it responsibly. 21 and over. Bud Light, St. Louis, Missouri.
All right, let's talk about Sleeper. It's the best fantasy league platform out there. Put your puck knowledge or ball knowledge to the test. It could be a game with a ball, not just a puck. By picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. Tonight, boy, are you ready for John's picks? I know I'm excited. We're going to find out in just a second. With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. Sleeper keeps you in the loop with instant alerts for breaking news and major injuries. Stay ahead of the game and keep track of league updates in real time so you're always informed and ready to outsmart your friends. If you think you have what it takes, new users can download Sleeper, the app, and use the code DLLS Stars for $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. Doesn't have to be your first. You can use that $55 in free entries as however you want. It doesn't have to be on one. You can spread it around. Place your first $5 contest. Use the DLS Stars code. You get $55 in free entries. Use your, of course, terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. And now for all the moment you've been waiting for, here's John.
And before we get into the Sleeper entry for tonight's game, I will have to say if you are not playing Dynasty Football on Sleeper's app, you should be. NFL draft just got finished today, so I have got my rookie drafts underway right now in the Sleeper app. And Sleeper is by far the best app to use for
Who's dropping
Dynasty
into the
football.
5th round?
Shedeur. Shedeur might not even get drafted in the rookie draft. There's not enough rounds.
I saw that the Patriots drafted a long snapper today, John.
I don't like that.
Will that be in the Dynasty League, long snappers?
No long snapper position in fantasy football. Not yet. We haven't progressed to that point of the country. Anyways, Sleeper has progressed to the point where they have a pick on sale tonight, and that would be for Jake Oettinger. His line for saves is down to 26.5, so we're going to start with Jake Oettinger to record more than 26.5 saves. Then we'll go with the Moose and Rope Hintz, each to record more than 2.5 shots on goal, which they have in each game so far this series. And I wanted to go with my guy Essa to once again record more than 2.5 blocked shots, which he has done in every single game so far this series. But for a Sleeper entry, you need players from more than one team. So we're going to go with Ryan Lindgren to record less than 2.5 block shots for the Avalanche, a mark he has come in south of in every game so far this series. Put it together, $10 wins the people $138.20. Hoo-wee!
John, Kleb in the chat said, my Dynasty League has 2 long snappers per team. Get with the times, John. I did not think we were going to be talking about long snappers on the Stars pregame show tonight, but here we are. Speaking of carrying over topics, Luds, you've got the quarter zip on again tonight. Going with a little superstition.
We asked. They said wear the same shirt again, so I had to run it to the cleaners and make sure it's clean, get all the Bud Light off that I spilled the other night.
There was a spill.
It's ready for a do-over.
All right.
I don't even know what this is. If it's a shamrock or if it's a 4-leaf clover with the leaf fell off. And speaking of leaf falling off, guess who just scored?
Oh, look at that.
That's timing right there for you.
What a segue.
Leafs may fall tonight. Anyway.
Leafs are up 3-0 in the series.
Yeah, they can afford a loss.
They could, but will they?
It's a good spot to be.
Because
they'll lose this
we
game.
thought that LA was in a pretty good spot last night, and then the Oilers came
That's what
back
happens when you take your foot off the gas.
and then make I think, a really poor decision on a coach's challenge.
Yeah, what is he thinking? But
tie game, give them a power play with that momentum, and they just, what was it, 10 seconds Bouchard scored?
Those are reasons that coaches get fired sometimes when teams come back and win series.
Yeah, hopefully LA, for their sake, that whole series doesn't sway on just that mistake.
He won't get fired. He's done it.
It's been a good year for the Kings. Yeah. All right, Luds, let's talk about Landeskog, because you mentioned the adjustments that they have to make in the energy levels. What do you think about his first game in 3 NHL seasons, almost 3 full years, in Game 3, and also the fact that it looks like, and John, if you would pop up the Colorado line chart, that they are already elevating him to the second line, dropping Jonathan Drouin, who they have not been very complimentary about his game in Colorado.
Well, I would say there's probably a few things that go into this about him moving up. Number one is that I believe that his first NHL game back after 3 years was being monitored. And how does he come out of it playing 13, 14 minutes a night? Obviously, he came out of it well enough that they can move him up. So now all of a sudden he's back up, getting closer to where he always was. And the other reason is maybe because over there on the right side is Val Nichushkin. And now all of a sudden, sometimes when your captain comes back into the lineup, pretty big voice and the way he plays, I think that they're probably hoping that he can drag Nichushkin to bring his level up, bring him into the fight. You're going to find Landeskog probably being in the front of the net and banging around and things like that in the offensive zone. An opportunity for Nichushkin to find some loose pucks and put some in the net. That's what they're hoping. So I think it's kind of twofold. But I think they found a way that their captain came through that with a 5-star performance as far as health goes. So I think that's the reason they're going to move him up and give him some more minutes tonight.
Take out the defensive pairings. Again, no changes expected for Colorado tonight. Is this all about execution and not about making lineup adjustments?
Yeah, when you say no changes, I'm hoping Cale Makar doesn't change.
Yeah.
I want him to stay just the way he is, because he really, for a guy that had 90-plus points in the regular season, he hasn't been the same guy, and he doesn't dominate the game from the back end. We don't see him as dynamic through the neutral zone and control the play for the most part. So even on the power play, he doesn't seem to be getting what he wants, and that is all great. And yes, part of that has to do with the way the Dallas Stars playing. So they don't want to change a lot of things. But yeah, I think, and again, in this series, I don't know how any coach is really upset with their lines, because it's been such a tight series and they've been tight games. So, but again, I think it comes down to 2 or 3 of their superstars trying to keep them at the level that they're at.
Do you think coaches are susceptible to needing coaches? Heike always likes to say coaches have to coach, meaning if you lose a game, there's that pressure either internally or externally for a coach to say, we have to make some alteration. We can't just trot the same group out because it looks like you're not doing any coaching.
That's why you go back and watch the game 2 or 3 times. You can't have a coach that panics and then, man, we got to start making all these changes. You go back and you watch a game and you're like, I don't know, we're creating a lot of scoring chances here. You go back and you look at the game, Colorado had an opportunity to score 3-4 goals in that game.
Yeah.
And they were individual plays, goaltender, Jake, Essa. There were some individual efforts, but there were other ones that they should have buried. They didn't. Good for Dallas. So I think you have to watch the game and you have to go, you know what, if we get this same effort again, we're probably going to put a couple in the net.
Let's talk about adjustments for the Stars. You were looking at some incremental percentage changes by the Stars' 4 forward lines. Let's take a quick look at what you had in mind.
Well, what we did, and we did this after game 1, and we looked at, and now the lines have been changed a little bit. That's what I'm happy about that.
But we were looking up.
And these are only 5-on-5. This is only 5-on-5. And, you can go and you can find territorial time. In other words, offensive zone time, defensive zone. This is only the offensive side of things. So the Hintz line, which again, when Hintz was there at 33% in the offensive zone, he was playing with Granlund and Dadonov.
Correct.
Right? Now he's got the big dog up there. He's got the Moose on the right side. That line was at 44% of offensive zone time. The Duchesne line basically stayed the same. Although they moved up a little bit, that line stays the same. And now look at how the Johnston line moves up. And I think this has got a little bit to do with having Dadonov there, who's a little bit more of a puck handler, and it's not the straight lines. He brings pucks in. He kind of just lollygags. He kind of plays east to west, and he finds places for Jamie to get to the front of the net. And then it's the 4th line. I mean, we don't know who's going to be out there tonight. Now, the first game, it was Bork in there instead of Blackwell. The 3rd game, it was Blackwell and Steele and Oscar Beck. So we'll see who's on that line
Sam
tonight.
just posted the warm-up lines, and I want to go back to that graphic, but John, go ahead and show the Stars lines. It looks like it will be Bork. Sam has Bork at the left wing, though, with Steele in the middle and Blackwell on the right. I think they really like Sam Steele down the middle, especially in the playoffs with a rookie like Bork. Not that they don't trust Bork, but I think they want to lean on the little bit more experience of Sam Steele, who's 27 versus 21 or 22.
I will say that when you guys were talking about Oscar and getting taken care of in the game, I'm sitting here and I'm glad I didn't say anything, but I did not see him coming back into this game.
I didn't either.
When you go to that step, you are sore. You are, especially your obliques.
He did not practice yesterday.
Right.
Oh, no, sorry. He had enough.
He did practice.
He was there on Friday's practice, but
But you're not. You get sore the next 24, 48 hours. It's
Let me ask you about that.
There is a way to play. I can
is
tell you this right now.
Is there a reason why you want Oscar Beck in the lineup over Maverick Bourque if you're the Stars head coach?
Well, size. I mean, size on the walls and the penalty killing. You know, there was, I think it was the last game of the season, Maverick was out there killing penalties, right? And there was some mistakes made, and I don't think he had a ton of opportunity to learn what to do there. So I think Beck has been such a great penalty killer, especially with Blackwell, and when Steele gets out there, they're good penalty killers. But so I think that's what you want. Now I will say this: if this was a Game 6 or Game 7, he would be in there, and trust me, they would get him in there. He would make it through the game, and then he'd be really sore a couple days later. But sometimes, unfortunately, you have the whole summer to get better, or you have 3 days off before the next round starts. So, but again, I think Maverick, it's nice because now you've got a little bit more of a offensive threat with Maverick on that line, you know, because they're going to know like he's got the ability to get more pucks to the net. We've seen him play a little more north-south and drive to the net. So we'll see if he can create something.
I think he has the edge in skill offensively over Beck. But you're right. Beck has the size and the defending. John, go ahead and show the D real quick, if you would so please, kind sir. There it is. No changes. Obviously, the Miro one is the one to look at. But have you noticed anything different as this series has gone along? Because it seems like the Stars, we're going to go back to that forward graphic in a second, but it feels like the Stars defensively has locked it down more as we've played the first 3 games.
Oh, well, as a team, they've
yes.
changed. I mean, we talk all the time about adjustments. And when you get into the playoffs, coming into the playoffs, not necessarily going into Game 1 all the time because you know what they do and you do things. And all of a sudden, Game 1, you see what they're trying to do. Then you have to make adjustments. Colorado's going to have to make adjustments tonight. Dallas did that, in my opinion, and a lot of it has to do with in the D zone. Same thing I've been whining about all year long. I know, but now what they've done is they've tightened things up. And look at, and I sent an image of this particular format that Minnesota Wild were using against Dallas, and I asked someone, would you rather have this set up in your own zone or have that set up, which was the Dallas old zone? This is how Minnesota and other teams set up in their zone. There is not a lot of opportunity. There's no free ice here. They're not spread out. They're taking away the dangerous area of the ice. And then there's one more shot here, and you can see, look at the numbers. Right now, there's people in the right spot, and they're between the opposing offensive players and their goaltender. They're not on the wrong side, and there's more numbers, again, like I say, in that slot, that high danger area. So that little tweak has changed. Also on the power play and the penalty kill stuff, I thought the PK, what they're basically doing now, this is Nate McKinnon, if you're watching this, and this is the Bushkin standing in front of him, I believe. Okay, and then we've got another white jersey over here. What's happening here, it's going, because McKinnon scored 2 goals in games 1 and 2 on the power play, and they've tried 2 different ways to play it. I didn't like the second way, but regardless, now it's like, Nate, you're going to give it to somebody else. This actually was a great opportunity, good chance, but I believe it was Essa that made a great play on this. But this is one look here.
Is that Natchez down to the left?
That's Natchez down there. Yep. So now they're saying, go ahead. Anybody else can have the puck besides this guy because of what he can do on the power play, shooting from that spot. The last clip is now they rotate a little bit. Now that's McKinnon down there on the bottom of the circle. I will take McKinnon shooting the puck down there. Jake is on the same side as the ice as the puck is. This particular play, they moved it down to McKinnon down here, and he tried to take a one-timer from there. That's an easy save that Jake would rather have. So a little bit of a tweak maybe on their penalty killing also against the Avs.
Now let's go back to the forward percentages, because when you look at these numbers and everybody says, okay, well, the Hintz line got better. Let's back up and talk about what this means. What it means to me, Luds, is you move Rantanen up to the Hintz line, and it was not at the detriment of any of the other lines. They improved significantly the Hintz top line, while also the team got better overall, and that's a really positive adjustment to be able to do that where one line doesn't suddenly see their numbers go the other way.
Well, it was going to improve if you give Hintz some help. I didn't think he had the help on both sides like he did. And the other thing is, another change that Dallas has made in their system is they are not turning pucks over at the offensive blue line. They're not trying to make the extra pass and make that highlight reel goal come about like they did in the first 82 games. They tried it in game 1, didn't work. Now what they're doing is they're more direct. Pucks are going to the net and they're going in, which their hits will come up because they get the forecheck. But the bottom line is that's why these numbers go up, is because they're willing to put pucks into the offensive zone and not turn them over from the blue line to the top of the circle in the offensive zone, and it goes the other way. So all of this kind of leads up to more offensive zone time, territorial time, and chances of pucks on net. And then when pucks go on net, not the extra pass, the two guys that don't have the puck kind of have an idea that it's going to net. So now what happens? They drive to the net, and now we're getting some of those uglier chances in front of the goaltender.
You talked about why the Stars' penalty kill has been so good, and Essa and Jake have been really, really good in that regard. But one area Pete said that he wants this team to clean up is their penalties. He said they have to stop taking so many in the series.
Well, that's what happens when you get on the outside. You get on the outside, and if you take the middle of the ice away, generally they're coming to you. If you get on the outside of those areas where they want to get to, now you're chasing back. And that's where you find the hooking, the holding. And we've seen Marchman. We talked about that. Mush has made a couple plays, and he was kind of chasing back, but he gets in on forechecks, and he's trying to get back into the play. But if you're on the right areas of the ice and they have to come to you, generally you're not taking penalties. Yes, there's always going to be a couple little plays that you're going to get tripped and high stick accidentally, but that happens. But they do have to clean that up, because to me, it's a matter of time before, again, I'll go back to number 8 for the Avs. When Makar starts to wake up and get his game, you don't want to see that group on the power play, because he can make a lot of things happen from back there.
Okay, that's everything. We could talk about the big suspension in the Tampa, Florida series, the then big 5-minute major on Matthew Tkachuk, the coaches taking shots sort of at each other in the press, which was really entertaining. Fight on the bench between Montreal and Washington with Josh Andersen and Tom Wilson. The Ottawa Senators hanging on to a lead, trying to extend it. The Wild looking like they were going to win their series, win game 4 and take a 3-1 series lead going back to Vegas, and then losing it. But we're out of time. We can talk about all that stuff during our watch along. Check it out.
I mean, it's game time?
It's almost
game time.
Puck drop is 8:52. We'll be back right around then with a full watch along on YouTube with Luds, myself, a special guest, and, of course, our producer, John. All that coming up, and then, of course, our full post-game show right here on DLS. We've got you covered for every angle.
Special guest?
You want to?
No.
I want to keep it teased?
Yeah.
Apparently a former professional hockey player.
Well, let's not get him overhyped.
Semi-pro?
Yeah.
Partially pro?
Would it be misleading for me to put this graphic up right now?
It would be very misleading. But we will say hi to Joe Pavelski.
Yeah, definitely not Pavelski.
All right.
So don't get
all that coming up
here.
next here on DLLS. Enjoy the game. Come watch along with us right here on our watch along in about 20 minutes.
I believe that they are going to crush these guys tonight. I'm okay with
We all silly like the mayor.